we had Mo on a couple of weeks ago, and to play the film when he was.
And here's the choice to amplify the beauty of rippling silk.
To play the video after he spoke, it would have been an all-night thing. I thought, as a holiday gift to the group, it would be great to play this. I think it's a little bit better than Home Alone, anyway, which is on every day, it seems. But if anybody has any comments, feel free. Steve, go ahead.
Ed, you and I with Pat Hunter were in the clubhouse with Murphy a number of years back. I don't know if you remember, we were all wearing New York Giants stuff, and there was a little league team there. And the guy was kind of excited that this really guys from New York Giants. You told him your story, and he told us something very interesting. Norm, I'm not sure if you know this. I don't know if it's still going on. Willie Mays on Halloween kind of has his door open for kids to come and, I guess, get candy, etc. But the other part of that story, Russ Hodges, just like the Giants, was like number 3. Mel Allen, Vin Scully, WMCA was the weak station, Russ Hodges. The story that I heard, and maybe I heard it on here, is on Halloween, Russ Hodges would have 12 or 15 signed baseball bats for the first 12 or 15 kids that came to his house for trick-or-treating. Can you verify that, Norm, or anybody from the Bay Area?
I've never heard that one. I knew about Mays inviting all the kids in all the time, but Russ Hodges one, no, I don't know about that one.
I heard that from a reliable, again, it might have been somebody.
I have never heard that.
In San Francisco, I don't remember. Gary, this is classic. It's very.
I'm sorry,
Steve,
Steve, you're breaking up. What'd you say? Steve, you're not working well. Maybe we'll get back to you. Ed Logan, I just wanted to say you stole the show there. You were in there quite often. I saw you as a young chap there. You look very good. Your speaker's off, Ed.
Yeah, 16 years old, and this year I turned 80. So a lot of water under the bridge.
Anybody else?
By the way, that interview was done at my oldest daughter's house in Tucson a number of years ago by I guess it was Ed, his son. Was it?
Yeah.
Anyway, he was an officer, a police officer, and he brought his equipment to my daughter's house. So that's back when I still had hair.
Really a great film. Jeff, go ahead.
Mo,
Thanks. This is directed either Ed or Mo. I have a question on the last day at the Polo Grounds. During the ceremonies, what was the crowd like? I know it was only 11,000 people there, but was it a somber ceremony? Were they cheering? Were they, being respectful? Well, give us a flavor of what the crowd was like during the ceremony.
No, they were mad. They were yelling out there. It wasn't quite a mob scene, but they weren't friendly. They didn't. You could hear them yelling in the background on the film. And there's a lot of pictures of it. There's some film of it in the New York press. A lot of pictures. Then there's that famous one of my dad sitting on the chair in the empty clubhouse. It was on the front page of the paper, and they called it Sad Sack. I don't know if you've seen that. That was famous at the time. That was the last day in the clubhouse. And ironically, he came back in '62 when the Giants played the Mets, and he was on the visitor's side, which was a really crappy side, and he didn't realize how crappy it was until he went over there.
Yeah, piggybacking on that, Ed, on Jeff's question, the football Giants recently have honored some players, and John Mara didn't show up for one of them in fear of being, basically booed out of the stadium. Were the Stonehams there that day, or were they non-participants? What was going on with that in the management?
In my memory, Horace didn't come down to the clubhouse much at all. and I don't think I don't remember him being there that day. I was interviewed with one of the major stations, and I've heard it years later. Actually, where I heard it, I was in Korea. I was in Vietnam, and on AFRTS, they played Great Moments in Sports, and there was my interview in the clubhouse. I've not been able to get my hands on that, but it was definitely recorded somewhere by ABC, CBS, whoever it was, you know.
Great Dana, you're up, Dan.
Thanks, Gary. I have a question for the group. When the Giants were bought by Peter McGowan in 1992 and they opened up the ballpark in 1993, they made some changes. I'm not saying it was really substantial, but there's some cosmetic changes. They changed the colors of the fence. They moved the fence a little bit. They changed the concession options. I'm just curious, was there any change from the Giants 1957 the Polo Grounds to when the Mets opened it? I mean, would there be anything you would notice? I mean, this was not the time of a lot of food options or beer options, but I'm just wondering if there was any difference, or was it pretty much same old, and didn't seem any
I think
different?
the dimensions
4 or
were
5 years.
slightly different. I think they brought the fences in a little bit. I don't think it was as deep as it was when the Giants left.
Also,
I want to say it was,
scoreboard.
yeah, new scoreboard.
Well,
Scoreboard was
Yeah.
Rheingold instead of Knickerbocker.
And you had a lot of bar doll advertising signs put on the walls and everything. You know, they weren't just plain green walls in the outfield.
I think Harry M. Stevens was still there. I know he came out to San Francisco.
Yes, that's true.
The story there is my grandfather, Fred Logan, who was the Yankee clubhouse manager, originally got Mr. Stevens into the business, gave him a break in the stadiums way back when. And as a result, I had carte blanche with anything I wanted from Stevens.
Well, the most noticeable change too is probably the monuments weren't there.
Let's go to Karen's iPad. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's I don't know how to get this on. This is Jerry in Ohio. I was at the
See you.
I was at the 57 game, and unlike Mo, I took the bus on 63rd Street bus in the Bronx to the bridge and walked down those incredibly long steps, which were even longer going up. And I sat in right field, right above the bullpen, and noticed that everybody was down around home plate in the box seat. So I made my way over there. When the game ended, we all ran on the field, and I got some sod from the outfield, a piece of the pitcher's rubber. But I noticed there were a bunch of people who were running not on the field, but away from the field, and they were taking out the telephone boxes with the coins in them. So there was money to be made, and they were taking the coin boxes out. I ran back on the field, and one of the things that was not reported is that, yeah, there were people outside the clubhouse, but what I remember them shouting was, "We want Stoneham with a rope around his neck." And I came home and I brought all my stuff, and my mother eventually threw it out.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well,
I got
one correction. And Gary, you can correct me if I'm wrong. They showed where Thompson's home run went in. He actually went in the lower deck, not the upper deck.
Yeah, it was the lower deck.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go. We're gonna go to Frank and then Mars and then Barry.
Yeah.
Frank, go ahead. Frank Lewis, you gotta, you're muted, Frank.
Am I on now? Yes. I believe that vendors and ushers, they had the same staff to work both Yankee Stadium and the Polo Grounds. And what happened to those guys after the split? And did they come back and work both parks for the 2 years the Mets played in the Polo Grounds?
Most of them were old enough and they retired.
Well,
And they retired. I started working for Stevens in 1961. I looked at those pictures of those vendors. I didn't recognize anybody. So most of those guys probably retired.
and ushers?
Ushers, I'm not familiar with ushers. I'm just vendors.
Thanks,
Thank
Frank.
you.
Mars, go ahead.
Well, I remember watching that Sunday afternoon game against the Pirates on September 29th on TV. The fans were ripping apart everything, including the seats. I don't know what happened to the Eddie Grant Memorial, whether when the Mets opened, if it was still there. I know they changed the center field sign from Knickerbocker to Rheingold. I don't really think they brought in any dimensions. One thing I did notice, I remember there was a 483 sign in dead center by the memorial. Then I think when the Mets played, it was 484 or vice versa. Then the last Dodger game at Ebbets Field also had a very sparse crowd,
Yeah,
but
6,000.
I still, as a 10-year-old, and I had gone to the last Giant Dodger game a couple of weeks before, I just could not believe as a 10-year-old that this was all happening. I said, this has got to be a dream or a nightmare or something like that. But, there were a lot of disparaging remarks made about Stoneham and O'Malley, of course. The fans were bitter, but, it was also in a day when, nobody could think of building a new ballpark on the site or moving to New Jersey. It was a whole different era, but it always baffled me years later on how you could leave the largest market in the United States.
Thanks, Mars. We're gonna go to Barry, then John, then Renee.
Okay, I was at that last game. I was like 15 years old, and I lived in Washington Heights, and I decided by myself, like Mo, I had no one to go with. So I went down to the game. We sat in the bleachers, but I believe that day somebody gave me a reserved seat in lower third. I really don't remember much about the ceremony, but one thing I do remember, somebody said to me, they're going to be running onto that field. I says, okay, so I ran onto the field, went to the bullpen, grabbed some dirt, took it home, put it on my fire escape, and then my mother threw it away.
Mine threw all my baseball cards away.
Yes, so did my mother.
John McLaughlin, go ahead.
Hi, I'm not sure. I have to look this up, but I don't know if the Mets actually had the last ever game at the Polo Grounds. I think it might have been the Titans before they
Yes, you're right.
moved to
You're
Shea
right.
too.
You're right.
You're
You're
right.
right. I went to a couple of Titan games.
Yeah, Harry Wismer counted eyes instead of fans at the game.
Yeah, well, I honestly, my dad also worked for the New York Football Giants in the football season. And as a kid, I actually sat on the 50-yard line, a big, heavy Giants coat. And I can remember, against the Bears and snow coming down. And it was a whole different thing in the clubhouse. Football players are kind of mean, didn't talk. It was the world away from the summer with the baseball players. It's night and day difference. Dad also did the San Francisco 49ers right up till 1979.
John, was that your question or comment?
Yes. Yeah, that was my question.
Okay, Renee, you're up.
I really want to thank Mo for putting this together. I mean,
One thing I will say about this, I saw the original production that Mo made, and the enhancements greatly enhanced the movie. With having Ed Randall and Ed Logan, and then all of the stuff from the clubhouse, and then Perry Barber. Originally it was just the film. I think Mo did a masterful job, whoever worked with him, and really super job, Mo. Renee, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
No. I mean, you said everything I wanted to say. I mean, it was great to see, and those additions really. I mean, I never saw the original, other based on what you just said was just the footage, but it just completes the piece. It was great, and you guys talking about the last game. I mean, I remember my mom and my mom telling me her friends, they were upset. I mean, it was tough for her and them when it happened. So thank you for bringing that footage together in the way it was. It really, I'm going to show it to my mom, so that'll be fun for her to see.
How many of you have never saw the film before today? Show of hands.
I have not.
Oh, no, I saw a different version of it, I think.
Well, it was a little bit different. This, like I said,
I have it on
a lot of
DVD
stuff.
from about 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was-
I think if we're all together, hopefully, every year maybe we'll do this near the end of the year, just as a nice wrap up.
And
Anybody
one
else with any comments? Ed Freer,
one more-
Am
one
am
more
I
thing, one
still
more thing.
tuned in?
Mo, you're
Am I
in. Yep.
still- Oh, okay. Just wanted to make a little notation. The video that you saw seemed to be choppy because the one that is available on DVD is very clear completely. So,
Mo,
just
I
want you to know.
thought it was very clear here.
Oh, maybe I didn't get it properly.
The
But,
unclear one is the one on YouTube that only shoots for like 45 seconds. And I always told people, if you're gonna buy it, it's gonna look much better than that because that's a turnoff.
But the
let's
one
go
that
to-
you showed, the
one
one you
that-
showed tonight,
Was very clear. I don't think anybody, the only complaint was that I couldn't get it to work at the beginning, and that my daughter rescued us.
Actually, it was choppy on mine also.
Was
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
That
I
may
could-
be just a product of Zoom. That may
Right.
just be
Yeah.
some lag with that.
Yeah.
Gary,
Well,
I-
is the
Yeah, just
audio
wanted to-
better? Is the audio
it's,
better on the disc?
The
Yeah,
disc
Because
is
it was-
good.
That's what I was gonna,
The
I was
DVD.
gonna
Everything-
mention that.
Everything that I watch without you guys not on Zoom, just perfect. There's,
Gary,
color's
I want-
good, everything's good.
But
Highly
Gary,
recommend it. All right, we got Ed Freer, then Hindi.
I got one more thing to say.
ahead,
If you don't
Renee.
mind. Barry, thank you for bringing the insight of Harry M. Stevens. I remember Harry M. Stevens when I was a kid. When did Harry M. Stevens end? Do you remember the year it ended? That there was no more Harry M. Stevens?
Yeah, hold on, let me think. They worked at Madison Square Garden until 91.
Okay,
That was
okay,
the next
so
year. And then-
okay, so probably Shea Yankee Stadium was the same thing, about 90, 91, something
Yeah, I
like
think
that?
so, around that era.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
thank
Well,
you.
wasn't he a Brit that supposedly invented the Red Hot, the hot dog?
Yes,
Yeah.
It was?
yes. I worked for him in my summer college years at Yonkers Raceway and then again at Candlestick.
but
All right,
what I was gonna mention, Gary, is
go ahead. Ed, then Hindi, then Jeff.
well, the copy I got from Mo many years ago from, down in the Lower East Side there was clearer, but especially the audio. The audio was much sharper on the one you get from Mo if you get it from him directly.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm,
you.
Yeah.
I'm sure that what John said probably with the Zoom and but rest assured, the copy I have when I watch it, there's not one issue. I'm not trying to sell it for him. Just telling you the truth.
hey, by
I
the
get
way,
copy from Mo.
yeah, by
Hindi,
the
go
way,
ahead.
guys, Willie Mays saw this thing and owns it, and he broke down crying.
Mhm.
And he
Wow.
wrote me a long letter, which I consolidated and put on the cover of the video itself.
Yes. It's excellent, Mo. Hindi, turn on your mic. There you go. Go ahead.
Thank you for a wonderful year, Gary.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Terrific.
Thank you, Carol King Jr.
And I do want to say this, thank you, Mo, and it was wonderful. And my brother and his wife went to the last game. I thought they went on the field and took whatever they could. I don't know if I heard that right.
Yes.
Yeah. But I do want to thank you for Sid Gordon. Because we really loved Sid Gordon, and I think it was partly because he was Jewish.
Yeah.
His son just
Thank
passed
you.
away a few months ago.
I know.
Jeff, go
By
ahead.
the way, about 20 years later, at a baseball writers affair, I saw Dusty Rhodes for the first time, and he had a copy, but he passed away, and his family has the video. So it was quite a night.
Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, first, I thought the film was great, so I want to thank Mo. I think I may have been 4 years old when the Polo Grounds was demolished, so I never physically saw the structure in person myself. I like the fact that you got to see a lot of the outside of the stadium in the beginning part. I'd never seen pictures, let alone video. I'd never seen pictures of the outside of the Polo Grounds before I saw this tonight. So, I appreciated seeing that. And the whole thing was just amazing. The fact that you did this when you were just a kid, took it upon yourself to do this, I think was outstanding. So I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Thanks. It was a great memory.
Can I piggyback on the outside of the Polo Grounds? A couple times I've been to Wrigley Field. If you get off the elevated and go down towards the left field stands, it really reminds you of the Polo Grounds. If you look at Wrigley Field, similar. Would agree.
Bill Clink, you're up. Bill, turn on your mic. Bill, turn your mic on.
Okay. First off, Gary, thank you very much for mailing this to me about a year ago. I really, truly did enjoy it. And Mo, thank you for producing it. Now, I had a question for you, Gary, and it's this. I know you're filling in the schedule for next year, and I'm not trying to put one of the participants here on the spot, but I guess I am. Norm, would you consider talking about and showing us not all, but a good number of your baseballs and some of the stories behind how you got those autographed? I think that would be wonderful, but it's up to you and Gary to work that out, obviously.
Great idea.
We will talk about it.
I'll talk with Gary about it. Thank you, Bill.
I would love to know how you got those and the stories. Some of those, I haven't seen those autographed. I'd love to see them.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Norm, I had nothing to do with that, just so.
Okay.
That's not Gary. That's all on me.
Anybody else with a question, comment? Again, if any of you out there want a great piece of history, I don't get a cut on it. I just will send that information to George, who will take care of it. George is, Mo's great friend, and he does helps out Mo a lot, and his business partner on this venture. So if anybody wants a copy, I will forward that to George, and George will get it out to you, after the holidays, I assume.
I think Perry needs to be commended for, together with Eddie Resner, inspiring getting this thing out of the attic after 50 years in 2007.
What was the name of the public address announcer? I didn't catch his name on the video in the Polo Grounds.
God, I forgot.
The beginning of
I forgot.
It's right at the beginning, yeah.
Well, I'm going to order the DVD, so I'll be able to find out.
Yeah, you'll see it.
Really, Mo, you again, to have shown this when you were speaking with George, it would have gone well over 2 hours, and I think this was a nice way to wrap up the year by showing this, and letting other people enjoy it. And again, if anybody's interested, they will contact me, and we will go from there.
All right.
How many are left, Gary? I think Marganeri is still around.
There's 11.
I have a question. If this may be kind of obscure, but maybe Ed Logan might have a clue. Was there any talk at all about building a new ballpark on the Polo Grounds site by Stoneham?
No.
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 It was impossible.
There were some sites, down
Where Hudson Yards is now?
Yeah, Camden, where the train yards were.
Yep.
South the Manhattan Island, it's all built up now.
And
The Giants Dodgers were losing a lot of money staying in New York City. Everything fell apart in New York. And that's when they moved.
And Mars, in regards to the actual site of the Polo Grounds, the land it occupied was being encroached upon by apartments and parking lots. there was really no room there to rebuild.
No.
Yeah, and I also heard that Coogan, who owned the land, I think the city took it over by eminent domain.
Yeah. Well, the problem was parking, and there's no way they would have fixed the parking problem. That
Well,
was-
Ed, wasn't there a parking lot where they built a school, PS 28?
Yes.
And because what I heard is the reason why they lost some fans because they had a park by Coogan's McCombs Dam Park by Yankee Stadium, and then either walk across the McCombs Dam Bridge or take the subway one stop, and that would be very inconvenient, especially in inclement weather and night games.
Another thing too is that the neighborhood was changing, and it was becoming a little bit more dangerous for people who were used to life in the suburbs to come into Manhattan. It wasn't a place you'd want to bring a family.
It was an awkward place.
Yeah. That's a nice way to put it.
To this day, I can't understand why the Yankees built a new stadium right across the street. That wasn't a great neighborhood either.
Well,
No.
Steinbrenner was trying to hold up the city with going to New Jersey. Remember those days?
That was never going to
the
happen. That
Village
was all
Voice.
smoke and mirrors.
I remember the cover of the Village Voice had a picture of a couple of Yankees, and instead of the NY on the jersey, it was the NJ. There was serious threats that Steinbrenner wanted to move them to Jersey.
It was threats, but he was never going to do it because there was no mass transit to get out there. It would be in the Meadowlands where the attendance would have been terrible.
And the history of New York Yankees is a big
He was
blow
either
for
going to
that.
build in the Bronx or in Manhattan. He wasn't going to Jersey.
Well, yeah, I heard another site was the Bronx side of the Whitestone Bridge.
Yeah. Well, John, what about the Jersey Giants? What did they play? They had a stadium over there.
The Jersey City team?
Yeah. Yeah, the Jersey.
Yeah. I want to go visit that site, but I can't figure out where it is. I work in Jersey City on the weekends, and I haven't been able to find it yet. But it's it was not near the water. It was inland a little bit in Jersey
Well,
City.
too bad you couldn't ask Yogi Berra for directions to it because he would say, if you come to a fork in the road, take it.
Yeah.
The street in
I
Jersey
think
City.
I think you're referring to a stadium called Hinchcliffe Stadium.
That's in Patterson, New
That's
Jersey.
in Patterson, yeah.
Yeah,
Right. And we played a lot of games there.
and they're
A lot of
renovating that
games.
one.
They're
rebuilding-
renovating it. I can almost guarantee you MLB is going to play a game there at some point in time between the Guardians and the Yankees.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Mo, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
We had 36 people on. Was this the largest group that was shown the film, or?
A good question. I think the answer is yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's the largest.
That's great, because I think a lot of people who were on tonight really appreciated
But Mo,
Yeah.
didn't you talk about it in San Francisco? You had a much larger crowd at AT&T Park, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, when I was invited to thanks to Gary to help out, I was invited to Giant Stadium, and they showed part of the video on the big screen while I was delivering my speech.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
let's
right.
say that this was the largest one in its entirety then.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gary?
Yes,
This
Andy.
might be a good note to end on. First of all, Morris and George, Perry, if she's still on, fantastic job. But the time I saw it was with the other group, and I think the Bad Pizza. And this
Oh,
has
yeah.
come a long way. All of us have contributed, but Gary, you're the player of the year. And thanks for a great year in 2021.
That's very, very kind of you.
Absolutely.
I hope
Ditto.
you,
I ditto that.
continue this. We will get as many people as possible, but anybody who's watching, all of the people we've got have been top notch, and I'm very proud of the group. And it's not I, it's we. I'm not trying to. I really do mean that. This is for everybody. It's not for me to get accolades or anything, but thank you, Andy.
Gary, any relatives of, let's say, players like, I know we had, I think we had Mel Ott's daughter. What about any relatives of Carl Hubble, Freddie Fitzsimmons, the great Giant teams of the 30s, those players, Hal Schumacher.
I have access to Hal Schumacher's daughter and grandson. They live
Maybe
in my town.
if Mike could pass that along, that would be great. We have Ozzie Virgil Sr.'s daughter is a member of this group. And when they go down to the Dominican Republic, they're hoping that he'll speak to us. And
By the way,
he's one of the 11 Giants who played in New York. Still alive.
Sid Gordon's son got a hold of the video.
Mike Gordon
and
passed away, Mo.
What?
His son passed away.
Oh my God, he loved it.
Yeah, his grandson, I guess Mike Gordon's son informed me of that. It was about 2 or 3 months ago.
Wow.
If you want to go back to 1899, the first Jewish pitcher in the majors, Leo Fischel, pitched one game for the New York Giants. It was a complete game. He retired and went to Columbia Law School. I dragged Mo to Babylon, New York, and to see Gus Fischel. It was a great grandnephew of Leo Fischel. And I had Mo sign a ball at the law firm and hand it over to Gus Fischel.
Nice.
So I found Leo Fischel when I was researching my New York, my Giant book, New York and San Francisco. So the first.
Hey, by the way, while you're at it, Perry Barber made arrangements for me to go to Cooperstown to show the video. And
Wow,
they put it
great.
Yeah. And Jeff Idelson was there, the president, and about 9 of his staff saw the video in its entirety. And when it was over, I got a standing ovation. I couldn't believe it.
Well deserved.
By the way, this is, for those who don't have it, this is the cover of the DVD. And this is actually the DVD. It's got a nice picture of the Polo Grounds on it. So it's not just a blank.
And it's the outside of the Polo Grounds.
That's correct.
The second time I've seen it.
There you go, Jeff.
Yeah.
And Jeff, I enjoy your Connecticut whale sweatshirt.
Yes, it's not the women's team. It was the former Wolfpack before they went back to their current name. Yes. I like the green. What can I say?
It's a good logo.
The Hartford Whalers had the best logo.
They did.
When my pop was a teenager, he worked for Harry M. Stevens. So he worked not only the Giant baseball games, but he worked when the Giants were on the road. He worked in Yankee Stadium. One of his people in the box seats at Yankee Stadium, who was a big Yankee fan, was Buster Keaton. And my father said the guy never tipped the vendors.
I believe that.
Hey, by the way, I think I hold a record. When I was a kid, I ran a ball club in the Bronx called the Mel Green Cubs. And on that team for a little while were 2 guys who joined the San Francisco Giants, Dom Zanni and Nick Testa. Go figure that one out.
Played one game, Nick Testa.
Yeah,
Huh?
in a game, an inning and a half.
Inning and a half, and he pop up, right.
But I had 2 Giants on my club before they joined the Giants.
Right. Gavin, I wanted to mention something to you about, you mentioned about Sid Gordon and his son passing away. He had another son, Rich, and the reason I know that is my next door neighbor, Rich, owned a car dealership in Rockland County. My next door neighbor was the manager of his car dealership for about 25 years. So he still has one son that is alive. I believe his name is Rich. And Mo, I just wanted to mention to you that I was there the night that you first presented this. I think it was in a bar in like 33rd Street in New York City. Is the
yeah.
Foley's.
Yeah, right. And
Foley's.
remember that? I remember buying that video, buying a few of them that first night. So that would have been when, about 15 years ago, or a little bit less, or what?
I don't remember exactly when, but
Right,
I
but
re-
a big crowd. You're talking, yeah. It was the place. The place was pretty packed, and you had a lot of celebrities there, and Phil Pepe over there. I was sitting at the same table with Ernie Accorsi, the Giants GM, the last really good Giants GM that they had. So, but yes, so it's again great tape. I didn't see what the original. So this was seeing this tonight was great because you really added some really nice touches to it.
I think you'll